great. It's the face that's the issue. Right. So evening, everyone. So I know people will watch this. Just remember those people that want to discuss their assignment with me, please remember we'll find time after Easter. And need about 10 minutes per assignment. And I'm quite happy to show what I thought went wrong or where you were great. Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? Goodness. And I'm very happy to also to listen to your side of the story. I am concerned about the way AI was used. Out of the entire class, I had three people, um, in fact, do an AI declaration. Not a single person, and even people who had sent me messages and said they had used AI hadn't done the declaration. So you have to do the AI declaration. I think I might have even loaded an example of the AI declaration on the WhatsApp group, and I'm quite happy to load it again. Please also make sure that you are on the WhatsApp group. So those are the non-negotiables in terms of what happens going forward. Okay, so we are sharing. Let me mute my face. Right, evening, everyone. Let's have a glance at this. Now, we've got a bit of a wobble here. So this is what you're going to work from. So the uploaded assignment is so ridiculously difficult that it's impossible to imagine that we could do that in the allocated, remember, 10 hours. So please, the case study remains exactly the same. So you'll see the case study. I've got it here. So you've got that case study and the rubrics. No, well, I hope they've changed the rubrics. There is the case study. So you'll see it's a continuation of discovery. And then if we look at the questions, this is where we've got a difference. So you'll see they've taken some questions away. It was just ridiculous what they had expected, and they've given us new rubrics. So let's have a glance at going through this fairly quickly. So obviously the key thing, and can I also just say, guys, one of the other headaches that I found with a number of people in that first assignment is, remember, 15 of the marks go to theory. So if we look here very quickly, it's almost an equal distribution of the marks. Here, 22 marks will go to theory, and then obviously 23 to application. Some people wrote 4 lines and expected 15 marks. So you have to get the balance right between theory and application. And also the idea is to find a way of integrating those, because essentially the theory you will get from sources. Please use your textbook as the basis for your theoretical discussion. Unfortunately, people that used AI to generate their assignment wandered so far away from what is in the textbook. And you'll see that I have left comments on a couple of assignments where I'd said, because you've used AI, you have missed the point completely. So remember, the textbook is the basis of your discussion. And if you don't have the textbook, my slides are the basis of your discussion. Just remember, when you use my slides, and my slides are comprehensive, please make sure that you reference the textbook. So those are the kinds of things that we have to avoid in the second assignment. Right. So please take note of the points breakdown there, and then we can glance at the actual questions. So first of all, what we need to do is look at strategic decision making. We are going to go to my slides here, and we are looking at Learning Unit 4. So please remember, my slides are a heck of a comprehensive. Even if you don't have the textbook, my slides will be sufficient to actually answer the questions. So in terms of, and I need to stay away from that guy there. Somebody's unmuted, guys. Somebody's not muted. If you are unmuted, please mute yourself. Who's unmuted? Okay, there's obviously some feedback here. Right. So in terms of the first one, if we glance at the question again, so a brief introduction as to the role of strategic decision making, and then the pestle factors. So the moment we talk about the macro environment, we talk about the pestle factors. And then just essentially giving us an indication how strategic decisions are big decisions, and that those big decisions are complicated by the fact that we have these complicated connects in terms of the macro environment. So the answer for the first one is going to be slide learning unit 4, slide 5, and I would go with slide 5 only, guys. You can give sufficient discussion by looking at slide 5. In terms of the macro environment, so just with my slides, the best way to do it is always to do this. Okay, clearly that's not the macro environment. We're looking at learning unit 5 here. And then in terms of the macro environment, and you can see here. So essentially the two slides that you would look at would be learning unit 4, slide 5, and learning unit 5, slide 6, and slide 7. So in terms of strategic decision making, remember, these are big long-term decisions giving direction to the organization in its entirety. It is within the context of the external, in particular, the macro environment, that we have to take these decisions. So the macro environment will always impact what we do from a strategic perspective, and trying to anticipate and getting the predictions right about what might happen in the future are absolutely essential in terms of surviving that environment. So the first bullet there would be slide 5 in learning unit 4 and slide 6 and 7 in learning unit 5. Trust my slides. Please trust my slides. Even when you are getting ready for exams, my slides are very, very good. Okay. So, and you can see there, guys, you can see the discussion there, and it really is about the macro environment providing a highly complicated context, and it's within that context that we have to take decisions. Then you have to look at a macro environmental analysis, a pestle analysis. Okay, so in terms of the pestle analysis, I will share this with you guys if I have not shared it already. Hold on. Have I shared this information previously? I will load it onto the group. Can someone tell me whether I have shared this specific slide? Hold on, let me slide this across. Have you guys seen this specific graphic?
No, I can't recall seeing this.
Okay, so I will share it with you guys. So what is nice about this pestle analysis, it consolidates almost 80% of what is in Learning Unit 5. What is further nice about this, it actually tells you specific detail that you can look at in terms of doing your pestle analysis. Let me put this on the WhatsApp group while I've got my brain running now. Okay. Sorry. Please wait a second. I will also load it onto R. Okay, guys, it is on WhatsApp now. You should see it there. So what is nice about it, it actually gives you prompts in terms of starting the sentences. You could say government policy with regard to a specific element is for or against. We have labor laws that might be restrictive and might overprotect employees. And you can look at some of the other stuff, but you can definitely create a clear sense of the pestle factors using that particular slide. So in terms of that, if we look very quickly, a pestle analysis of the macro environment, and then they will talk about opportunities and threats. Oh, of course I can. Thank you for that. I should concentrate a bit more. Thanks, goodness. Well done. So in terms of opportunities and threats, and this is where I think we will look at opportunities and threats. So, guys, the key thing in terms of writing opportunities and threats is that you will never use a verb in an opportunity. So, the moment you say that I plan to take over a competitor, there is a verb. If you do or write up your opportunities, in particular from a pestle perspective, you could say that the war in Iran is a threat in terms of continuing business success. You can say that government policy provides opportunities for us to do certain things. But the moment you suggest that the business is going to do something, that is a strategy. This is a mistake people make all the time. So the moment you say that we are going to lobby government to make changes, that is a strategy. Government willing to engage about a particular issue, that is the opportunity. Please get that clear in your mind, guys. I'm going to try not to be too tough on it because it's very difficult to write those. If you don't write them as opportunities and threats, at least discuss it from a pestle perspective. Talk about the fact that the war in Iran is going to create issues in terms of fuel, etc., etc. But if you can write them as threats and opportunities, that will be perfect. So in terms of that, if you want more detail on that, that is Learning Unit 5. So you'll see the detail in Learning Unit 5. It takes you through the different factors in the macro environment, essentially the pestle factors. If you want to use this, that is absolutely fine. The simple truth is, guys, that slide is fantastic. And if you see the kinds of things that go into that, they act as wonderful prompts. They are not conclusive. You might find additional ones, but this is a very, very good place to start. So in terms of that analysis, you need to do a pestle analysis and resulting in opportunities and threats. Right, now they are talking about a SWOT analysis. So immediately it means that we are looking at Learning Unit. Second, you're looking at Learning Unit 6 because no, you see, they shouldn't be asking us about a SWOT analysis because that's Learning Unit 7. Because those would be the internal capabilities. So in terms of the SWOT analysis, that's not, because we're looking at the strengths there. Let me see if there's anything on SWOT here. There's nothing on SWOT.
Henny?
Yeah.
Apologies for the interruption. Could they not be asking a SWOT analysis because we have covered it in previous years, so it is supposed to be existing knowledge?
They possibly are, but we're also given clear guidelines. So I'm not worried about that, guys. So in terms of that, if you've done the opportunities and threats as part of that there, you will simply just bring those opportunities and threats and make and reuse them in the SWOT analysis. So the SWOT analysis, and everyone knows this, these are internal bits and pieces, the strengths, the weaknesses. So you'll see in terms of discovery what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. I'm not very happy with them asking that because it is out of scope. But you know what, guys? It makes it easy. We can do it. It's not the end of the world. And then in terms of the initial SWOT analysis, then there'll be a second SWOT analysis after you've done that. So you'll do your initial analysis and see how, by having that specific strategy, the SWOT analysis changes. And then just decide whether it is worthwhile doing the scaling, and then making suggestions based on what you found in the macro environmental analysis. Okay. So this is fairly simple. I think there's a bit of duplication there. I think we are slightly out of scope, but guys, we're not going to worry about that. It is a very, very easy question. Any concerns, any questions about that? And please do me a favor, guys. We've got the quietest WhatsApp group in the world. If you get stuck, ask on the WhatsApp group. I mean, I will answer or your colleagues will answer. So if you get stuck, Jen, I hate that question because there's no magic answer. But in terms of, I think if you can give me 5 each, that should be fine. If you can not be less than 5, Jen, but it is a relevant question, but I think not less than 5. Okay. So, and if they're well written, I'll give 2 marks per each of them. And then same with opportunities. Same with strengths and weaknesses, guys. But it is a suggested number. But please don't be too few on that. Rather be more than 5. Well, I don't know, Boya. That to me is beyond understanding. But they've also changed the second question. And I cannot tell you what is going on here. The initial assignment that they set up would comfortably have taken you about 30 hours to complete. That's how much detail they expected. So this is the updated version. Okay, 1,100 to 1,200 words. And we look at strategic decision enablers, competitive intelligence, business intelligence, and then why they help organization make better decisions. Explain these enablers, why these are important. So the moment we see competitive intelligence and business intelligence, we're looking at learning unit 4. So we're looking at learning unit 4. Yeah, I don't know, but just as and Daniel, it's a valid question. Please be careful. They love asking the competitive intelligence cycle in exams. That's why I'm a little bit disappointed they've taken it out, but we live with what we are provided. So in terms of competitive intelligence, okay. So, guys, competitive intelligence essentially is the creation of a body of knowledge that allows us to effectively anticipate and make predictions about the external environment. In particular, our competitors, what our customers are doing. We look at the industry environment. And also, I think the key thing is that part of the competitive intelligence is to pick up data, turn that data into information, and turn that information into intelligence. And the key thing is the value of intelligence is that it gives an organization the basis to have competitive advantage. So in terms of where we see competitive intelligence fit in, it is making sure we scan the environment. We talk about, and let me quickly just get my paint open. My apologies for doing this because I paint with a mouse. So when we think of environmental scanning, we refer to it as horizon watching activities, horizon watching activities. If you sit at a beach and you look into the distance, this is my attempt at a beach, sometimes you'll see a dot appear in the distance. Now, what effective organizations do is they're able to see that dot and they're able to see what that dot actually is. And if you're a harbor master, that dot essentially is an indication of what potentially might come your way. So you then try and get the harbor ready. So the earlier you can detect what these kinds of threats and opportunities are that initially start off with dots in the distance, the easier it is for you to capitalize on those opportunities and to counteract the threats. So the idea of scanning is that horizon watching activity where we keep an eye on the distant future and we try and figure out what is coming towards us in terms of opportunities and threats. So in terms of that, the kinds of things we look at will be your competitors. Anyone want to tell me what a complementor is? What a complementor is? Go for it, Christelle.
It's somebody that's in a industry or creates a product that complements yours. So their product is compatible with yours or complements yours. So someone will create scarves, for example,
Fantastic,
and you will be
Christelle. Yes.
creating brooches to
Thanks.
knit the scarves
Christelle,
together.
your mic is buggered. Hey, your mic is messy. You give or you sound possessed when you talk on your sorry, Christelle. People are getting nervous here. Sorry. It sounds insane, Christelle. Yeah, just remember, a complementer allows you to maximize what you can get out of your product. So having a PlayStation 5 is fantastic, but the complementer is a game being written in the platform so that you can get more out of that. A phone is a phone is a phone, but the apps that we load are wonderful complementers that allow us to get more out. Very good answer, though, Christelle. Very impressive. Okay, and then your customers, your distribution channels, you can see the rest here. And here already we start pointing to some of those pestle factors. So this gives us a picture of what the realities of our operating and competitive environment is. And that would be R, my apologies. Realities are. Ek is Afrikaans, forgive me. Right, let's have a glance at the rest of this. Okay. And then business intelligence. So let's move on from here. Yeah, you can see. So we are looking here at Learning Unit 4, slides 19 and 20 for that bullet. Mostly 19, but you might be able to take bits and pieces out of, 20 is also worth looking at. 20 is definitely worth looking at, okay? Yeah, sorry guys. And then 19, 20, 21, 22, you can look at that as well. Let me just look at that question again. Yeah, guys, go from 19 to 22. Go from 19 to 22 and extract relevant information from there. In terms of business intelligence, so business intelligence, this is still Learning Unit 4, obviously, and it is slide 26. Quickly tell me, what cards do you have? What loyalty cards do you have in your wallets? What loyalty cards do you have in your wallets? Everyone's got Discim. Who has Discim cards? Who's got a Checkers card, Pick and Pay card? Discim Clicks, yeah, Clicks as well. Clicks, Checkers, I said Checkers. Anyone have strange loyalty cards? Anyone have strange Pick and Pay as well? Woolies, yes, obviously Woolies. Yeah, too many actually. It's emasculating when I open my wallet. In the olden days, we used to go hunt. Now I take out the card. And so imagine, Shell V Plus, very, very nice, goodness. BP rewards as well. What those cards do, essentially, every time you tap that card or every time you buy using that card, that information or that data goes into a system. I can tell you now, when I walk into Woolworths, and I walk into Woolworths, unfortunately, too many times, Woolworths already know what I'm going to buy. but the ability to know what I'm going to buy is to take that amount of raw data that essentially is fed in on a daily basis. And it's a silly example, the cards, but they make sense. And out of that, they can decide when they have what specials, what they sell, when they've got a clear picture of essentially what my basket is all the time. And in addition to that, the people track what happens on Google, what people are searching for. They're just data points absolutely everywhere. So in terms of business intelligence, it tells us about our business. It tells us what we need to do in order to effectively compete. And you can see the kinds of stuff that is there. Data from operations where you might have bottlenecks, where there might be issues in terms of suppliers, and then turn all that data into information and ultimately information that is then generated so that decision makers can take decisions. So definitely 26. I don't think we need to look at any of this stuff for that one. Yeah, no, we don't need any of that stuff. No, I think you've got enough for that one. Let me take the slide again. Right, she's today. They've made this complicated. And then why they're important in terms of sustainability. And also, yeah, I mean, it's obvious why decisions must be based on reliable data and obviously tracking external changes. Okay, so that's easy enough. Analyze how Discovery's current decision-making systems can support the VHP. Our CI can help understand important external. You see, this is my worry. This is repeating from the first one. Okay, so guys, a lot of this will have, no, the same slides will apply here. The one that we need to add is this here, the people, processes, and technology. So we're still in Learning Unit 4. Flippin' heck, guys, you are going to have to tick every bit that you complete. Oh, Toys R Us, very cool, Sindiswa. You have to tick every single one of these bits of questions that you do because you're going to get lost in the amount of stuff that we're expected to do here. So in terms of, just get this right here. So how people, processes, and technology work together. So you are looking here at slide 32, and you're going to carry on for a while with that. You're looking at 32 to slide 39, Learning Unit 30, Learning Unit 4, slide 32 to slide 39. So in terms of these mechanisms that allow us to maximize and make sense of the amount of information that streams into an organization, we have these three elements. Let me just check this question again. Okay, so in terms of those integrating mechanisms, people always going to be there. So really cutting edge organizations will have intelligence teams, and these are professionals that essentially are in an organization to track and see and do the horizon watching activities, to take the data and turn the data into information and then into intelligence. So you'll have these intelligence experts, but sometimes you'll need additional people that you'll bring in. So you'll bring in people from marketing, etc. The one thing that is important in terms of these teams is that you want people who will break that kind of groupthink, who will constantly challenge and act as devil's advocates. You'll also have potentially an intelligence officer. This person ultimately is the custodian for intelligence, is the go-between the teams and your executive managers, constantly is there to bring some sort of stability in terms of what we share and the kind of reactions that people may have. Guys, and you can also look at intelligence specialists. Those of you that are looking to change jobs, start looking at this. But unfortunately, this is more an overseas thing than a South African thing. The second one is your processes. So we know that knowledge management is there. And you guys, have you done knowledge management this semester, or do you do it next semester? When do you guys do knowledge management? Or don't you do knowledge next semester? Thanks for that, goodness. So in terms of knowledge management, essentially the thinking behind knowledge management is that the best way for an organization to survive is to be what we refer to as a learning organization. So as a learning organization, knowledge management is key in terms of essentially creating some sort of database of knowledge and sharing knowledge and getting people to constantly grow from a competency perspective. So you can see the kinds of bits that go into knowledge management. It is about finding and getting the right information and always making sure that employees learn as a consequence of this information, etc., that you share. And you cannot divorce knowledge management from competitive intelligence and business intelligence. The key thing is to make sure that you make knowledge explicit. These are those kinds of things that appear in standard operating procedures, in manuals, and then tacit knowledge. The best way to explain tacit knowledge is when you watch MasterChef. If you watch MasterChef, you'll have two contestants get exactly the same ingredients and get exactly the same recipe. And the one contestant will create this absolute masterpiece. The other contestant will create my wife's cooking, which is not very good. And my wife is sitting in the lounge glaring at me. Guys, and then just also, yeah, no, I'm brave. I'm very, very brave. Guys, and then, yeah, these processes, this to me is important. So part of this horizon watching activity is that sometimes in the distance, there are rumors, there are suggestions. It's that kind of the smoke, but what is the actual fire that has brought us the smoke? And that's amplifying weak signals. Sometimes you'll hear information. I mean, for me, one of my best ever weak signals that I amplified was in towards the mid-November, the year before COVID. There was this news story about this virus that had escaped in Wuhan, China, and I made predictions then already, because when you have a virus that of that nature that make people that's ill, and because we've got this integrated world, that virus was going to spread, and literally 4 months later we had lockdown. So in terms of these amplifying signals, it is about making sense of what that signal means and then taking what you've made sense of and turning it into competitive intelligence. Guys, and then just in terms of technology, I think the key thing, you have those decision support tools, but the future is in terms of Gen AI and machine learning. I think if you think of what artificial intelligence can do and the billions and billions of data points that it can analyze, organize, and present as information and ultimately as intelligence, that is where the future is. Yeah, and you can have a glance at that one as well. You can see, so essentially it brings, yeah, I don't know if you need that one, up to 39. Yo, this is a tough one, guys. Okay, so again, please just remember, guys, don't give me repeat information. Just try and integrate it in a way that you link the difference, even if you refer to the paragraph one or whatever the case may be. Okay. Sure. Okay. This one is fairly simple. It's getting back to pestle. Wow. 4 macro environmental factors, again, specifically related to VHP, and then how decision enablers and macro environmental analysis work. So your decision enablers, wow, guys, they've made this lemon complicated. Wow. Yeah, they are the decision enablers, guys. 17, yeah, 18, and again, repeating. Hmm. I am very nervous about this assignment, guys. Any questions at this point? And then I'm going to stop recording and I want to discuss something different. Any questions at this point? Go for it, Christelle. Here we hear the possessed one again. Go for it,
I hope the
Christelle.
mic is better now. Is it
No,
better?
it's as bad as it was, Christelle.
Okay, just quickly, please look at the code on the top of the document. I see the one we have says that this is 7322.
No, that's obviously a mistake. That's obviously a mistake. Where does it say it? Oh my gosh, look at the
Okay.
errors on this. No, it's not. It's this one. It is this one. They've made it is this assignment. Yeah, 7322 is very different, guys. You'll find that out next semester. Goodness me, well picked up, Christelle. Nia, I'm going to stop recording now. Hold on, because I'm going to say